Welcome to the Rural Revival Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Larson. Today we're with Deb McGinn, Ginny Showman, Jacque Andrew, Sara Ostrander, and Raney of Why Not Us, a group of 72 women who pooled their resources to save a historic downtown building called the Centennial, located on their town square in Jefferson, Iowa. After the building was flooded with several thousands of gallons of water and it destroyed the community's popular tea room, these women wanted somebody to bring it back and finally decided, why not us? They're sharing how they pooled their resources, set parameters for the group, recruited somebody to run the restaurant, and they're talking about the incredible impact this has had on their community. In case you haven't heard, I want to let you know we've now expanded our design services at Branded by Rural Revival to offer logos, branding, and marketing assets. So if you need a logo or a brand refresh or a new website, we would love to help you build a brand you love. You can find out more at brandedbyruralrevival.co. And now, here we go with the ladies of Why Not Us. All right, well, we're here today in Jefferson, Iowa with the group called Why Not Us at the Centennial building that they have been responsible for restoring. I'm so excited for them to share their story, and I want to start out by having everyone introduce themselves, and we'll just go around the table.
I'm Deb McGinn, and I have lived here the majority of my life. I'm 71, so you can kind of think that's probably about 60 years.
Awesome.
I'm Sara Ostrander, and I have lived in Greene County my whole life, but opened the restaurant here almost 2 years ago.
Great.
I'm Jacque Andrew. After living here 46 years, Jefferson is now my life town.
Very good.
I'm Ginny Showman. We moved to Jefferson not quite 8 years ago, and Jefferson is my new hometown.
Wonderful. Well, let's start out by having you tell us a little bit about Why Not Us. What is Why Not Us, and how did it all start?
Well, Why Not Us is a group of 72 women, and we decided that after our tea room had a devastating incident happen here in the building, several thousands of gallons of water rushed through from the top floor down into this restaurant. And so they closed the entire restaurant. They had to close the whole building, actually. And so once we got started, we thought, who's going to help get this back up? Because, you know, we loved the tea room that was here. It was so well respected. Bus tours would come here. All of that stopped. And so we kept waiting for someone to take it and to say, what are we going to do with this thing? And so one time we were at a meeting for Main Street and at one of our team meetings, and we just decided, why not us? Why can't we do this? If we put our minds to it, we could do it. And so it really came about helping women, helping other women. And so we decided that we would try to figure out how to restore this building. And that's how it all got started.
Okay. So as you put the group together, what were the parameters about building this group, and how did you go about doing that?
We really just wanted to have it be something that women could do together, and that we knew we weren't going to probably get any kind of payback for this. It was to do something for your community, something to help Jefferson move forward. We wanted to save this building. We knew it was a corner building and it was historically significant. And so that's why, that's how we kind of set the parameters. If you were interested in historic preservation of a downtown building, if you're interested in trying to get those bus tours back in town to eat lunch here, then we want to hear from you. So that's how we kind of set those parameters, I think. Jacque, what do you think?
We talked to people, to women we knew, women who cared about the community, who had enjoyed coming to the tea room, and we also thought about the importance of having a restaurant on this corner in the community and what impact that had on the other businesses on the square. So it was kind of twofold. We loved to come here, but we knew it was important to the downtown. And we started with about 30, and we thought, oh, we can do it with 30, and then
We quickly found out we couldn't do it with 30.
right, and then we kept growing and growing, and so the momentum built because people saw that, oh, there are women that are interested in doing this, and they want to see this succeed, and so then the enthusiasm for the whole project
It just built, yes,
yeah,
it really
took
did.
off.
And the other thing that we asked of the women was that to become a unit holder, it was $5,000. So we thought if we could keep it at that level, and the other requirement was that it was only going to be $5,000. So a one-time thing, and people said, well, could we give more? And we said, well, not really, because we want to have it to be an equal playing field for everybody that's in this. And so we didn't want someone to come in and say, well, I have a little more pull here, I want it this way. So we all are on the same even playing field, which I think really made it helpful for other women to join us that way.
I love that. So how many members strong are you now?
72.
Wow.
But we also have friends. We
Okay.
have friends of Why Not Us, and they are people who, for whatever reason, wanted to give less than $5,000. And there are lots of people who want to remember someone, or for somebody's birthday, or whatever, and they just give a little donation, which we're happy to have, and every dollar helps in the whole project. But they're not voting.
Yeah, they're
no.
not voting members, but they're certainly welcome. Anybody's welcome to become a voting member at the $5,000 level. Yeah, that's a plug. And because there is upkeep and things like that. But I don't think that we really had any problem convincing anyone to join this group, because they all knew that it was going to be something monumental for Jefferson, for downtown.
Wow. It's such a cool concept. So you decided that if you were to become a member, you would have voting rights, so to speak. And so how does that look? How does that play out?
We have 9 board members. Peg Raney is our president, and then we are each different. We play different roles. The board members are the ones that make the majority of the decisions, and the other 60, whatever that number is, are more than happy to let us do it. We do have an annual meeting where everyone is kept up with what's going on. Our president, Peg, sends out periodic emails to keep everyone updated so that they understand where their funds are, where we're getting funds through grants and forgivable loans and that kind of thing. So it's very important for us to keep this communication open to all of the members. And like I say, once a year they all get to vote on who gets to have the privilege of being on this board.
I will say that some of our members don't even live in Jefferson.
Wow.
Some live out of state that used to be residents of Jefferson. They grew up here. They have a fondness for Jefferson in their heart. They've come here to eat at the tea room with their mother or their aunt or whoever. And when they heard that we were doing this, they wanted to become a part of it. So we have people from Seattle, and we have people from where else? I'm not quite sure, but Florida, yeah. So, it's just that they have a fondness for Jefferson, and they want to see it thrive.
And thanks to the internet, we have a very, very nice Facebook page, and we have a lot of followers, and that has really helped us reach out to people. And we have people in Arizona who follow us. Mm-hmm. They're not unit holders, but they follow us, and they come to eat here when they're here. And, it's really an amazing
It's a really
thing.
good way to get your message
Yes,
out.
absolutely.
With the Facebook page.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So how long did it take you to get to the amount of funding that you knew it would take to restore this building? Or what did that process look like? Is that what you started with?
we started with all along we were getting $5,000 increments. We didn't really know how much that was going to end up to be.
Okay.
And then we had 45 members at the $5,000 level, and we used that to leverage those funds into a challenge grant through Main Street, Iowa.
Okay.
And so that's how we started
Okay.
to do the renovation. The city has a great program it's a $150,000 forgivable loan, and so we tapped into that.
Wonderful.
And then they also have a 50-50 facade match, which really came in handy since we had to do the outside of the building too with these window hoods that we had to redo. And the painting and that kind of thing. And the windows themselves, right. So that all helped with that 50-50 facade match. Our city is extremely forward-thinking on things like that for
Yes.
building renovations, so that helped immensely.
Absolutely.
We do have to commend the city for its completing the roof and making the building
Safe,
safe and viable.
right. The city obtained the building from the previous owner, and then they discovered that the roof needed to come off, completely off, to the daylight off, and completely redid that whole upper structure like that and made it safe. They tied the wall to the roof, which they discovered hadn't been. And so when we had that derecho come through,
Yeah.
they said if they hadn't had that tied, the wall probably could have fallen down. So
Wow.
the timing was just perfect. Everything has just fallen into place perfectly for this to happen.
Don't say fall.
Well, knock on wood, yeah. And it did not fall down, so it was great. Yeah, little bumps along the way, but
We've had bumps in the road all the way through, and we've known that with our mission, what our goals were, we would figure out a way to make that happen. And with COVID and restaurants and the cost of construction at materials, and during that time, we realized that 45 times 5,000 plus the other funds that we were able to get through grants and forgivable loan and facade improvement, that wasn't going to be enough. And so we put our heads together and came up with the idea of going on with the women's faces on all of these beautiful hoods and kept counting, and so 72. So we just continued to add on, and it was all done by one-on-one conversations with other women. It wasn't just that we put an ad in the paper, anybody want to be a part of it, and there's no exclusivity involved with any of it. We are really open. We wanted anyone who wanted to be a part of this, and I think we didn't realize that $5,000 is the sweet spot, because it's significant that somebody has to make a decision on that, and it's a significant amount, but it's not unachievable for people, especially people that maybe already own their home, their kids are gone, and you want to be a part of something bigger than yourselves, and that's really what we ended up doing. And so we just continued to contact one-on-one. All of us went out, and then there were even the emails that came in from people that were outside of the community. We have a dozen women involved outside of Greene County, and several of them, just an email came in and said, I want to be a part of that. Where can I send my check? That's amazing that the story gets out that way, that they want to be a part of something. So it's been such a wonderful project to be a part of.
So tell us about the history of the building and what this has been over the years.
Well, this building was built in 1876. That's why it's a Centennial building.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what that makes sense to do it that way. And it was first a bank, and it was called Citibank. And Mr. Bofink designed the building, and he built the building. And so anyway, beautiful building. It was a bank, and then during the 20s, they lost the bank. It had to close. And so then after that, it was all sorts of different things. It was an insurance place. It was a card store. It was downstairs, they had businesses as well in the early days. The building, I don't know, we have a really lovely historic photograph in this building that shows the building that's much higher. It has steps, and people that come in here today, they don't come in with steps. You just come right in off the sidewalk. And so the story was always, did they raise the sidewalk or did they lower the building? And they actually did lower the building.
Wow.
Yes, in 1925, 28, something like that, they lowered the building by hand, and they dug a whole new basement deeper, and so then they lowered the building to get rid of the steps. And they had, I love to tell this story because it's so time consuming to do something like this, and people today go, well, I couldn't do that. And so they had guys, they had the building on jacks, and every day they'd go around and turn those jacks a quarter of a turn until the building lowered itself down to the new level. And the entire upstairs had people in it, and they all were working while this was all going on.
We're doing the turn.
That's incredible, because
Yeah.
I'm sitting here looking at a picture of the old building, and this is a massive building.
Yes, it is.
2-story with all kinds of cool architecture.
Yeah, and they
I didn't
lowered
even
it
know
all
something
by
like
hand.
that was possible.
Well, they did. In fact, they lowered a couple buildings like that around our square. So, but the person that was really interesting that was upstairs was the first female doctor that was in Jefferson. And that's kind of why women were involved with this, because it was
Very
a
cool.
female doctor. And so her name was Gus Grimmel. Actually, Gustava, I think was, but she went by Gus. And so, so that was exciting to have her. There was a music instructor up here in the upper story. I don't know how they ever got a piano up there, but they did apparently. And so the building has just been lots of different things. All 3 floors at one time had businesses in it.
One of the architectural elements of the building are the hoods over the windows, and each of the hoods features 3 women's faces. And so we counted, and there are 61.
61 outside.
Outside, and then
There's a total of 72 faces
now, yes.
in here, around on the building, inside, outside.
We have
yeah.
3 inside.
And that was one way we sold the idea of becoming a unit holder. Would you like to buy a face on one of
That's
these
so
hoods?
cool, yeah.
And so we had people really going, oh yeah, I want to do that. Well, we sold them all on the outside, or they were sponsors, on the outside. And then I decided, well, there's some at the front door. We could call those the Greeter Sisters. And so we started selling the Greeter Sisters. And then we started selling, this one came inside, and I said those could be the dining room divas. And so a whole family took those, which I thought was really cool. So we sold them all that way.
I love that. That's so cool.
And those faces are supposed to be the only ones that are still on a building in Iowa.
Wow.
So
Very
it's pretty
unique.
cool.
That
Yes.
is
Pretty
very
cool.
cool. Yeah.
I think it's important to note the effort that went into saving those hoods so that we could keep that really unique architectural feature on this building. Not only to sell the $5,000 thing, that was great, but it was a painstaking effort to maintain the integrity of what this beautiful building is.
And we had a person that had a building, or had a business here, Mr. Toll, who had a paint store here. And some guy came around one day and said, I'll give you $100 for all those hoods over those windows outside. And he thought to himself, they must really mean something, or they must really be notable or something. He said, I turned them down. And so without him turning those down, we would not have had those outside.
Right. Thankfully.
So, yeah.
So did the tea room that was in here want to come back?
I think that the tea room, when we approached Angie, she at first said she would try to explore that idea. And then, so we kind of went on with that for a while with her, exploring that opportunity and telling her what we were trying to get back into Jefferson. And then I think the more she thought about it, and with her mother, talked about it with her mom, and she just decided, and it was after COVID too. It was right before, well, actually, I think she just, during COVID, yes. And so I think all of that kind of weighed heavily on her mind. And so I think she just decided, I'd like to be not fully in charge of anything anymore. I'm to that point, and my mom is too. And so she just stepped aside. So, and we're really glad that she gave us the opportunity to talk to her. And I think Sara could probably call her up at any moment and say, what happened here or what happened there. I mean, it was a very amicable parting of ways, I think. So
For sure. I actually did call Angie before I met with these ladies, and I said, is there something I should know? Like, why aren't you coming back to do this? And she's like, I did this for 20 years. You know, I had my time. It's time for somebody else to do it. And it just seems like a good time to say, I'm, ready to move on. And you can still get her amazing desserts at the Hotel Paty in Perry. So she isn't very far.
So how did you go about finding somebody to run the restaurant?
Well, the board sat around the table at my house, and we thought, what is it that we want in a restaurateur? And we described the ideal person. She would be a woman first, and she would have Greene County ties. She'd have experience. She would be fulfilling a dream for herself. So we had all these things that we wanted, and then we cast around and said, who knows a person like that? And lo and behold, there's a person who meets all these things, and someone knew her, and here she is.
So Sarah, we want to hear how this all came to be for you.
Well, it's funny to think back on that because I had just started a new job. I was commuting to Clive and opened up a brand new kitchen there, and thought it was going pretty well. But then I got a call. It was like a Tuesday afternoon, and one of the ladies said, "I know this is crazy, but would you ever be interested in having a restaurant in Jefferson?" I thought, well, yeah, but tell me more. And so she called me I think I was on my way home from work, and kind of explained that, I had heard about this project. I'd read about it in the paper, and my daughter and my mom and my grandma and I used to come to the tea room, and, we were sad when it flooded, and, then I'd read about the Wine and Us group, and I thought, that's so cool, good for them, that's so neat. Jefferson really does need that place, and, Angie does such good work, and so it's going to be great to have that back for her. And, little did I know that she had decided not to move forward with it. So when I got that phone call, I thought, that can't be right. Like, who's going to give me a restaurant? How does that work? I had graduated from Jefferson, Scranton, and did a lot of, the RAM restaurant classes and culinary things, and then went to culinary school, and then I went and got a degree in business management, worked in healthcare for a long time. And so, in the kind of the back of your mind, you think, what would it be like to have your own place someday, or, a catering business or something along those lines? But it kind of just seems like, oh, it's too much work. Like, where are you going to find a place? And, that's just a lot of money. And I don't know, I'm a single mom, so, my daughter is in high school, and so then I got this call, and it was kind of like, well, maybe this is supposed to happen. And so I think I was invited to their next board meeting at the Thomas Jefferson Gardens, and I brought a cheesecake, and I was like, this'll win them over. And I remember sitting there, and we talked for a long time that night, just about, how the project had gone and kind of what their expectations would be. And I got asked a lot from, my family, are you going to have 70 bosses? Like, how is that going to work? And I thought, I don't know. We're going to figure it out. And it was really just, we want somebody to come in, and the restaurant will be theirs. You'll rent the space, and we'll support you however you need. And that's truly been the case. These ladies are great. They're so supportive, and you kind of have a built-in fan base with 72 people who've invested money, and they're so excited to see you succeed. And so that's been really great. And yeah, we just kind of got the ball rolling, and I decided it was too much for me to commit to this project and keep a full-time job in Des Moines, and just, I really wanted to be in town and kind of doing the plans behind the scenes for this. So I left my big job and took a job at the school as a cook for a year, and that was really fun, and it just allowed me to kind of menu plan and do a lot of things for here, and that really worked out good. And yeah, we're almost 2 years. So July of 2022 we opened, and it's been a lot of fun.
I love
Most
it.
days.
Yeah, most days.
I just want to add that night after Sarah left our meeting, we were all giddy. I mean, practically jumping up and down. It might have been a sugar high, but we were so excited because we thought, as Jackie said, we had all these things on our list, and Sarah ticked them all off. Plus, we all fell in love with her at the same time. So we knew that this was just a match made in heaven.
When in the process did you kind of start to bring Sarah in? Were you already in the renovation or no?
No,
Okay.
I think that was probably pretty exciting when we all came in the building to see it for the first time. Sarah, weren't you with us, Sarah? And the look on your face was like, "Are you kidding?" Because it was a disaster in here.
Okay.
The ceiling had fallen with the insulation, and it was really bad. And we were all going, "Oh, maybe, I don't know, let's think this over." Well, it didn't take us too long to go, "Why not us? We can do that." And so we weren't going to give up, and I think we talked her into that, that mindset that she's not going to give up. We're just going to keep forward, and whatever problem comes about, we're going to figure out how to solve it.
Yeah.
It was a leap of faith for all of us unit holders
Mm-hmm.
and for Sarah. We had little things that came up, and somehow we just climbed over them, and we worked through the situations, and we asked people for advice, and we just kept going. We just kept going.
It is neat because you could tell that everybody on the board kind of had their little niche, of what they were interested in, whether it was design or, just the funding and history and all the things. And so it just all comes together. And I do remember that day.
It was scary.
We came in, but I thought, man, if we could picture it with those windows, like I'd seen the drawings and it looked beautiful. And I thought, oh, it's going to be something amazing. And
We have a really wonderful architect that we've worked with, Pete Franks, and he did have kind of a basic layout for us. But the nice thing was Sarah came in early enough that she could design her own kitchen, which I think has made life easier for you, I would hope. But he was really cooperative with us and could see the vision, and he had some great ideas like using this window that you can't see, obviously, but he was really invested, I think, professionally and emotionally in this process.
I'll give a shout out to Pete because he is actually helping with the project in my town now. So, and we're going to get him on the podcast at some point too.
That's good.
It's a fun connection.
I will say too, when we finally got our contractor, Kevin Conway from Westbrook Construction, and he had done historical renovations and very impressive, and so that's why we chose him to do this. And I think he was a little bit worried. 72 women, 72 bosses, what's going on here? And so we decided, no, we needed the board, and you would just meet with us, and we had a project team, and so we alleviated those fears as well. But I think he fell in love with the building. We fell in love with what he was doing, all his ideas. It was match made in heaven, really.
Wow.
Well, and without the benefit of pictures, you have to understand that the tea room was dark. It was chintz on the wall, tea cozies, and not a lot of light, and low ceilings, and what we were proposing was restoring all these windows to the west and to the south that had not been utilized for decades. And it was pretty dramatic to say, we're going to have light in here, and it is going to be bright and airy and contemporary at the same time. It was a completely different vibe from what had been here. Not saying that the tea room was bad. It was just different.
It was just different.
It was just
a different time, too.
Yes, it was a different time, and we're throwing up the shades, and we're
Throwing a lot of light in here.
a lot of light in here.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
The
It really is.
ceiling was so low in here, and then it dropped because of the water. It was a drop ceiling, and we discovered all this tile that was up here, and we said we have to incorporate that tile into this, and so we're never going to go have low ceilings in here again. So
which is the probably original tin
It is the
ceiling.
It is the
Yeah.
original tin ceiling. Yes, it is. So very cool find.
Well, and Kevin was just the perfect partner in all of this because he could see the vision of
He could
those
see the
things.
potential of it all.
Yes, yes, and so he was. Every time we turned around, Kevin was trying to make something happen in this space that it was a historic renovation. You know, that it was historically significant and appropriate and accurate, and he was perfect.
Well, they had
for the
taken some
project.
of this wall down, and there was brick behind there, and we thought, oh, cool, they'll have a cool brick wall. And they said that's not really historically accurate for this building. And so they even put the finish on this historically accurate finish on here
Wow.
because it's got this fan finish on the plaster. So that's pretty cool that they would even think about that.
That is cool.
One thing, my husband came to the tea room once, shortly after we moved here, and he said, not for me. So, and it was a lovely place, but it was not a real guy kind of experience.
And this was the old tea room.
The old tea room.
Okay.
And now Lynn enjoys coming here. The first day that we opened, we brought our little granddaughter, and she was so excited, and she dressed up because it was a big deal. And my family, who does not live in Jefferson, never has, know every single detail about all of this because I never shut up about it. And but it is welcoming. When you come in here for lunch, there's always a group of like business owners or people from work, men and women, who come in and enjoy their meal. And then there's tons that go out the door because Sara is, I think, doing probably just as many takeout meals a day. And I work part-time at the flower shop down the street, so we appreciate that we can call and say, what do you have left?
Oh, nice. Yes.
Yes.
And how cool that you got to move here and become part of a project like this.
It's very cool. It is absolutely so cool. And what's funny is I tell people all the time, Jefferson is my new hometown. I grew up in a small town outside of Des Moines, at the time about the same size as Jefferson, and this is what we wanted when we retired. We wanted to move to a small town. And my husband always had Jefferson in mind because he traveled around and he just thought it was such a nice town. And I can tell you, in the almost 8 years we've been here, it is a much nicer town than when we moved here even. The downtown is so much more beautiful. There's so much more artwork. There's so much more, I think, community participation. People love this little town, and so we fell in love with it too.
What do you think this building restoration and this restaurant, what has that done for the community?
Well, I think it's inspired other women. In fact, I know that because we had a group of women decided that they, after seeing what we could do, they decided to do a coffee shop. And it's a drive-through coffee shop called Chirp, and it's out there on Highway 30. And they said, we inspired those women to do that. They said, if they can do it, why can't we do it? So
Why not
that was
us?
pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that after Angie's closed, the tea room, traffic on the north side of the square especially really died off. You know, it just, that people weren't walking up and down on this side of the square. And if you ask any of the business owners, they would agree. And like I said, the flower shop is on this side of the square. And from the time we opened, it's just been a huge difference in our walk-in traffic. People come for lunch and they come shopping either before or after, or if they get turned away because they didn't make a reservation, they still want to go shop around the square. So it's made a tremendous difference. And I, at every opportunity, ask people, did you go to the Centennial for lunch? Did you love it? What did you have? And they almost always are carrying bags of dessert or leftovers or whatever with them. But it's, our shop, the flower shop, saw a 30% increase almost immediately in,
Wow.
in revenue because the restaurant was here.
That's amazing.
And we've also got bus tours coming back again because there's a nice place to eat downtown and it fits into their schedule. So that's really nice too.
Yeah.
The economic vitality impact has just been enormous all around the square because when you have a lovely restaurant to have lunch in, it's more of a destination. And so then people go around the square, they go to the gardens, they shop, they go up in the tower. It's a destination then. And we have had senior learning groups like Ollie from Drake and Iowa State come. They love it. They come back. It's just an amazing impact for the whole downtown area.
That's so cool. So if you're listening to this, you definitely want to come, but just to make sure you heard that, you'll want to make a reservation.
Right. So we are open Monday through Friday. We open at 11, and then we do kind of our last seating at 1:30, just, to make sure everybody has enough time. But, as you can see, we have 13 tables in here, so they fill up pretty fast sometimes. So especially if you're traveling from out of town, we really want people to call ahead to make sure we've got space and we're ready for them. And I don't know. When I think, you talked about the impact, it's really important to me to incorporate other businesses here. So Fudges, we get our flowers from Fudges. We get our coffee from Green Bean across the street. They do a special blend for us. Right now, lettuce is coming in from Green Goods Market, which is over there on the way out of town. We really try to support and prop up our other businesses because they've done such a good job supporting us. So it's kind of a good partnership for everybody.
I love it. And it sounds like the menu is ever changing.
Yeah, we change every 3 weeks. So that seems to be the sweet spot. 2 weeks was a little too much and 4 weeks is a little too long. So we're finding it, and we throw in some specials. And I'm so excited it's going to be summertime because we utilize a lot of fresh local stuff as much as we can. And that makes me excited. And then I get to try new things and get creative and see what works and what doesn't. And that's fun for me.
And a great reason to keep people coming back.
Amen.
Yeah.
We are constantly amazed that Sara has new things every 3 weeks. I mean, I can't figure out what to make at home. And Sara has new things all the time, and they're always delicious. And every dessert, you want to get all of them. It's just incredible. So hats off to Sara for her creativity.
Well, and I don't think we've mentioned yet that Sara was an award winner this year from Travel Iowa.
Woo.
That she was awarded Best Dining Experience in a rural setting. And so hats off to you for that. And because that's a pretty good feather in your cap. So to have that, because
Absolutely.
that's for the whole state of Iowa.
Incredible.
So, incredible.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Sara was also one of 40 women to watch by the Iowa Restaurant Association.
That's amazing. So what does it mean to you to get to come back and do this in your hometown? And obviously, people are taking note.
I think sometimes it's a little bit lost on me because I just like to be in the kitchen and just do my thing. And then when we come and hear, stories and we talk about the whole project, it's kind of overwhelming, truly. But I don't know. I just have always had a passion for this. And I'm like, it would be so cool to bring that passion and, serve the people in my community. And, like I said, I commuted for a long time, so then this is the shortest commute I've had for a long while, and it's great. And being able to be close to where my daughter goes to school and just really be a part of the community is pretty great. And I don't know, it's been really fun.
And I can tell you, Sara is probably being modest. She is much more than just a part of the community. She's really an integral part of the community. She volunteers her time and her efforts and her food for a lot of different things. She has really shared herself with us. And we couldn't have asked for anything better, really.
Thank you.
So good. Well, what's next for Why Not Us and for the building?
Well, there's an upstairs. And so we are going to put in 2 one-bedroom apartments up there. Again, working with Pete Franks as the
Yep.
architect. And so that's going to be happening hopefully by fall, later summer maybe. And so we'll see how that goes. So that's the next project for this building.
Okay.
And with the forgivable loan from the city of Jefferson, we are required to keep a viable business in this location for a minimum of 10 years in order to have that $150,000 forgiven.
Which is an incredible incentive. Yeah.
And a very supportive city that would be involved in that kind of project and encourage us to keep going on it.
I mean, the city of Jefferson is very supportive. They also awarded me a Jefferson Wants You incentive fund that you can apply for when you're starting a new business, and that helps with, some of the startup costs and different things that I had going on. Of course, with a restaurant, there's a lot of smallwares and different things that you need, and so that was super helpful. And I think Jefferson's a great place to start a business if that's what you're wondering.
Yeah, an incredibly supportive community, and that's a rare find, I feel like. Yeah.
And there's buildings available around the square.
There are buildings available. But when you said that this is a supportive community, it's not just from the people that live here. It's from people that used to live here, that don't live here anymore, that are across the country. And when they come back, they will go to those businesses. And they come back for Bell Tower Festival, or they come back for reunions or class reunions, whatever. And they just can't believe that their little town looks the way it does today. When they left, it didn't look like this at all.
Yeah.
And when Sarah's class reunion came back for their 20th class reunion, they were so proud of their classmate that is doing this great business and having this success. And, they are so thrilled for you. And I think that speaks volumes about who you are and what you're doing.
And I do think that some people think you don't get an investment back. We don't understand that. You don't get anything. And we said, no, we didn't do it for that. But what we did it for is all these things that we've just talked about. All of those things are just priceless. You can't buy those kinds of things. That the support for your community, the support from your city, the support that you get just locally for anything. And so, to me, all of that is payback enough.
And if any of your listeners are looking for a place to start a business, who they're looking for a supportive community,
This would be it.
This would be it. Talk to Jefferson Matters. There are funds, there are incentives, there are all kinds of ways that we can help businesses start up in this community. And we just want to have an opportunity to talk with them.
Yeah.
So Jefferson Matters.
Yeah. Said, we are us, where are you? And actually we'll say we are an award-winning Jefferson Matters Main Street. And so we've done a lot. And so you get a lot of support from Jefferson Matters when you open a business here, even when you just move here, even when you're walking around the square here. So, it's very important.
But there's a lot of people looking for that. So
yes, there is.
It's here for sure.
Well, when you open up a business, you need that support, So, and I guess Jefferson is the place to get it.
Very good. And do you have plans as a group beyond this building?
We keep thinking maybe, but then maybe we go, maybe not.
Maybe we should talk our husbands into it.
We keep thinking maybe the men will step up now that the women have done
go.
this, and been so successful at it. But who knows?
I think the effort is to finish this building and get those apartments completed and rented, and see what's happening with the building and just how that works, because there are things like upkeep and taxes and all those things to consider, but the real goal was to return this building to its life, to make sure this building lives on, and to make sure that there is a viable business in this building and that people can live here, and it's part of the community. And
if we've inspired women along the way, What more could we ask for, really?
Absolutely. It's a ripple effect. We did have some women here who came here from out of state because they'd heard about us, and they wanted to know how we did this. And so
Iowa Women's Federation
Yep.
came, and they wanted to talk to us about how we did this. So
Yep.
if we're inspiring other people to go for it, that's great.
Yeah.
I think
Iowa Women's Foundation, that should be.
I think one question we've all been asked multiple times is, how do you get all these women to agree on anything? And we mostly get that from men, so that tells you something. But I think
Tells you a lot.
the answer that I've always said is that we all had the same goal, like Jackie said. The goal was to save this building, bring in a viable restaurant. I really think we've hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
But I think because we all had the same goal, there wasn't any jealousy, there wasn't any, oh, this is mine. And that was another reason why it's one investment, one vote, so that everyone is the same. And yes, the board makes the majority of the decisions, the day-to-day decisions, but even as a board, like Sara had mentioned, we all have our little areas of expertise, so that when it was the project team's decision, the project team made that decision. We didn't have to run it through 42 people to
Yeah.
get it done. And that really streamlined the whole process because we knew what we wanted. We all had the same goal in mind. How we got there was sort of like serpentine, but we got there.
Yeah. Well, I think you absolutely have knocked it out of the park. And I know that without question, this is going to inspire many of our listeners. So I'm excited to see what comes from people listening to this and what that inspires across the country. So
Right.
we'll stay
It
tuned
could
for
be
that.
priceless.
That's right. Where can we follow along with what you guys have going on here?
On our Facebook page, it's
Okay.
called Why Not Us?
Okay,
So pretty straightforward.
great.
So that's what we have for our social media.
And you can also follow the Centennial on our Facebook page. That's where we post our menus and yummy pictures of everything that we're making here. So
Perfect. I've heard that people even come in and request by picture that's been posted on Facebook of what they would like to eat. So, so it's working well.
Yep.
Well, we will link to all that in the show notes. Thank you, ladies, so much for being on the podcast. Thanks for inspiring us all. And congratulations on what you've been able to accomplish.
Thank you.
Well, I love the model that these ladies have established in working together to bring back this historic building and this important business to the community of Jefferson. And I have no doubt this is going to spark some ideas for you and how you can pool your resources to do something similar in your community. I'm excited to watch this project continue and see that second story get finished out. Thank you to all the ladies for being on the podcast and to all 72 ladies who make up Why Not Us. Thank you for your investment into your community and for inspiring us to do something similar in our small towns. Because, hey, why not us? Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great day.